Thanks for joining us for another episode of Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover. We're here with our Week 6 preview into the NFL. What a cracking week we've got lined up. Another London game, some fantastic games across the slate as we get to a third of the way through the season. We've lost our first head coach. New York Jets are fired Robert Saleh. We'll get to that when we preview the Jets game later. Been a bit of a wild week. Week 5 was a bit of a Wild West week in the NFL, and we're into Week 6. I'm joined as always by Byron and Joe. Looking forward to Week 6, chaps.
Always, yeah. Obviously, the Jets didn't take the bye week coming back from London, but Robert Saleh got a bye week anyway.
Very good.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, super excited for it again. It's getting to that point in the season now where the teams are becoming who they're probably going to be for the rest of this year. I think the first few weeks it's always up and down, weird results. And yeah, I think there seems to be a lot of change this week, not just the head coaches, a lot of QBs either changing or there's been some injuries here, there and everywhere. So it's it's a weird one where trying to figure out where it is when there's so many changes. But as always, excited for another week of football.
Excellent. I'll be in attendance at one of the games as well. Off to Jaguars Bears this week at Spurs. Very much looking forward to that one. Inevitably, as I'm going, it'll be a fucking stinker of a game. But to help us preview that game, we're going to kick off with our returning guest, and a very special guest, the 2023 International Fan of the Year for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the UK's very own Captain Duval. He's joining us. He's going to take on our fourfold challenge and also talk to us about how the Jags have kicked off the season, plus preview the game against the Bears. So here's me with Captain Duval. First part of our show this week is our wonderful guest picker segment, and we are joined here at Good Teams and Great Teams Cover by a returning guest. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars International Fan of the Year. Captain Duval is back on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. Captain, it's a pleasure to have you returning to the show, this time in the UK. Last time we spoke to you, you were out in Jacksonville.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It is a little bit different, as you can see. Last time it was a little bit warmer and, in Florida. And I'm not sure I'd want to be out in Florida at this precise second, but this is maybe a little bit safer. But yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to everyone. Keep safe, everyone out in Florida with the hurricane. I think it's gone through, so fingers crossed everyone is okay. But yeah, it was sunny, 30 odd degrees last time we spoke to you. Not so much now here in October in the UK. But your Jacksonville Jaguars are back in the UK, here for 2 weeks, which is of course why we've got you on, playing the Bears this week. At Spurs. We're going to be in attendance. I'm going to be there. So we're looking forward, hopefully, to a good game. We're 5 weeks in. The Jags finally got a win after starting 0-4. Beat the Colts last week. What are you sort of feeling so far on how the first few weeks have gone? What's gone well? What's gone not so well? And how can the Jags sort of carry on improving?
Well, I'm still a bit numb from it all, to be honest. Going into the last week's game being 0-4, that's a tough thing, especially when you're the only team to be doing it. But when you look back, when I can remember looking back when we got the fixtures through, I can remember thinking to myself, you know what, the first 4 games we're going to be lucky to get any wins. So they were always going to be tough games. So it's great to get a win. I mean, the Colts are looking really strong as well with Flacco now. And we were lucky. We were lucky to get that win. The problems, it's all down to injuries. Injuries have hit us hard really early on in some really key areas. And I would say the main key areas is the defensive secondary, and the linebackers. Going into this week, I think we'll still be missing. Let me think. Campbell, I think he played in the Colts game, but he didn't have much of a presence, so he can't be 100%. And there's Savage, and Devin Lloyd, right in the middle of the defense, and that hurts. In terms of the offense, I don't think it's quite as bad. We've been missing. I don't know if you can see Evan Ingram here.
Huge part of that offense.
We're missing him badly, but it's been a great opportunity for the non-starters to actually fill his boots, like Strange and Farrell. I mean, they've done really, really well. Strange got I think a touchdown in the last game, so they've been stepping up and they've been doing well. But the bottom line is, I think injuries remain an issue. I'll be interested to see this week what injuries we have. I mean, I think it's still going to be Devin Lloyd and I'm hearing mention in the practices of even ETN as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Gabe Davis is out, and so we'll see.
Yeah, there's a few ETN popped up on the injury report yesterday.
Yeah.
Ingram, I think, which hopefully see Ingram back. I don't know if it'll be maybe this week, if not next week against the Patriots, but he practiced yesterday, so that's a good sign. Practicing on Wednesday usually is a good sign that you'll play on Sunday. And yeah, I mean, it was an incredible game on Sunday against the Colts. Like the Jags finally felt like offensively they'd found kind of some sustained success. And then just the deep ball, Flacco just launching those deep balls against that banged up secondary.
I was thinking, oh my God, we've got to win. And then, with one throw, it's just everything's just reset back to the start with his arm. So thank God for our kicker, our from the draft. He's fantastic, and by fluke we won the game. So
there is, it very much reminded me of kind of week one against Miami, where the Jags were kind of in control of it for three and a half quarters and played well for that part, and then just at the end, just foot off the gas or whatever it is, you just let the opposition back in. But they closed it out, and that was, I think, the key thing. It felt like, from what we could see, Doug Peterson looked like he was under a lot of pressure, and we've seen one coach go this week. Do you think if it had gone 0-5, do you think Doug Peterson might have also joined Robert Saleh in being unemployed?
I don't think so, and I hope not. I mean, he is a good head coach, and I don't think the Jets should have done what they did. I think it doesn't achieve anything by just having a knee-jerk reaction, pointing fingers and blaming, rather than fixing the problem, just completely throwing the cat amongst the pigeons and getting rid of the staff, key members of the personnel to start all over again. I mean, that, I don't think that's the answer. So there are several teams that have done the same with quarterbacks for several years. I mean, if they don't do really well very, very quickly, then they're out on their ear. And, I don't think it's the answer. So I'm glad he's still there, and I hope he stays. Yeah. I mean, I do put the blame. I do firmly believe, I'm not one for pointing fingers and blaming, but I do think for the first 4 games that we haven't really seen Trevor. He's not been there. When you see the opposition's quarterbacks, they're getting around all their players and they're really firing them up as a quarterback should be. And maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't really see that. I didn't see Trevor really getting around his guys and really geeing them up and really leading from the front. He just seemed, I don't know why, but he just doesn't, he didn't seem to be there. However, the last game, record throwing for him and everything, he had a great game. So maybe he's back. Maybe, we'll see. But
he was fantastic on Sunday for sure, Trevor Lawrence. It's interesting because all of the guys that signed those big contracts, the quarterbacks that signed those big contracts in the off season, maybe to an extent, maybe Jordan Love to lesser an extent because he missed a few weeks injury, but Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Goff had a relatively slow start to the season up until last week. Is there just a different pressure now with Trevor Lawrence and around the money he's being paid, and he is the guy, and now there's an expectation that he is to lead this team to success now?
Yeah, I don't, that shouldn't be any different. He shouldn't be doing anything different than he was before that big extension. It's his job. So maybe, I know that he's, his family and he's got youngsters on the way and everything. Maybe it was just a tough time for him. And but as I say, optimistic that we're through the worst now. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Saying that, I think the Bears is going to be another really, really tough game. They've got Swift, and it's just going to be, I'm worried about, as I say, the middle linebacker situation and the defensive secondary in particular. Maybe it's wrong of me, but in the first 4 games, I couldn't help but notice. I love him to bits, but Johnson, number 26, when there's a big play that's gone bad, it's gone sour, he seems to be in on it. I'm thinking,
same guy around, yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe he's just drawing my eye now. Maybe I'm, it's one of those things. I'm focused on him now, and
so you're looking for it, yeah.
So
I mean, what problems? It's interesting. So the Jags have got the Bears this week. The Bears are slight favourites against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's a Chicago Bears home game, but I kind of think any game the Jags play in London now is their home game, really. But yeah, what problems are you kind of expecting the Bears to pose, given what we've seen out of particularly Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick?
He is just starting to come to fruition now. I think the Bears fans for the first few weeks were expecting it to go miraculously right from the get-go, and of course it didn't. We've all got high expectations going into the first games and everything, but now that he's really getting comfortable and he's really starting to find his pace, I think he's found his feet now, and he's going to be It's going to be a good clash. It's going to be a good match between Trevor and Caleb.
Yeah, and that Bears defense as well has been very strong. I think they're in the top 5 in terms of number of points they give up per game in the NFL so far.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping we've got a tank which can smash through those defenses as he did last week. I mean, it's incredible what that guy does, and I firmly believe he'll lead the way.
Yeah, Tank Bigsby's certainly been impressive the last couple of weeks. The Jags seem to be getting involved that little bit more now. I think he had 13 carries last week. Is there that more of an opportunity, you think, for the Jags to balance it more on the ground, having kind of 2 real weapons in ETN and Bigsby?
Just so long as ETN's playing, I think it will be a really strong running game, and it does take the pressure, as you say. It does give you options. It'll keep the defense guessing, and it might open up. Who knows? I mean, if they're concentrating on Tank and ETN, then our first pick, Brian Thomas, number 7, he'll have and of course Kirk, number 13. It'll help them. Just as long as Trevor's on the ball and just as long as Trevor's threading that needle, then it should be interesting.
Yeah, Brian Thomas has been real impressive so far. I think from what we've seen of him, we knew he was kind of a deep threat. And can the Jags do more to get him involved? It seems like the last couple of weeks, again, he's been getting more touches and running some of the shorter routes as well.
Who? Sorry, Kirk.
Brian Thomas, yeah.
Brian Thomas I think that he can give more. I mean, he's very comfortable. I mean, it amazes me every time you see him thinking, is this guy really a rookie? Is it really his first year in the NFL? It's as if he's been doing it for the last 5 years or so. He's Hall of Fame bound, just as long as he can stay injury, injury proof sort of thing. But he's an exciting one to watch. Yeah. There was a call in one of the games there. He was doing taunting or whatever. I don't know what you think about the situation with some of the ref calls with celebrations, taunting. It seems to be a bit ambiguous. I mean, it seems to be. I don't know what's happening, but It just seems that, I'm not saying there's one rule for one and one rule for another, but it just seems really inconsistent with the officials, with taunting and with celebrations and things like that. I know that Brian Thomas had one put against him 15 yards, and I'm thinking, it's all that,
Depending where they are, they can be, certainly for the offense, they can be drive killers as well. For, even though potentially a lot of them come after first down plays, they can be drive killers in terms of 15 yards is huge to make back up. So it's drive killers.
Like have it.
Yeah. If I had my way, look, the NFL seems to be going back to standing for the no fun league again. So get rid of it, and I just let them go at it. Just get rid of that taunting penalty, full stop, and just let them go at it, because it's more fun.
Yeah.
It is more fun when the guys are getting at each other. Obviously, there's a line, but when they're barbing each other, it fires up things a little bit more. So let them loose, I say, for sure. But very impressed with Brian Thomas Jr. so far, I must admit.
And of course, we have to mention, Josh Hines-Allen, number 41. I mean, he's, as ever, such a presence. He's, got a big contract extension, and he's such a good player. And what I loved to see in the last game is him wearing one of the caps.
Yes.
I mean, he had potential concussion protocols, I think, the game before, so maybe that motivated him. But a lot of people disagree with it, and I know this is not necessarily the time to talk about it, but it's the way the game's evolving. And, we've seen several key players, particularly middle linebackers and things like that, wearing these caps. So bring it on, I say.
Yeah, once a few more of the names start wearing them, I think it'll be kind of considered more acceptable in the players' community, I think, for sure. He's going to be huge this week against the Bears. Certainly, teams that have had success against the Bears, Texans, obviously thinking about that a few weeks ago, they were able to get to the quarterback and they were rushing successfully. And Josh Hines-Allen, a huge part of that for the Jaguars. Who's impressed you the most so far? And I know that's hard saying kind of the Jags are 1-4. But there have been bright spots in play. But who's impressed you the most so far through 5 weeks?
I suppose Brian Thomas. I think Josh Hines-Allen, Foyer, Lurkin, number 23. Duvernay, I'm not sure if he's playing this week, but he had a great return. And certainly in the preseason and the early games, Washington as well for returns. Yeah. But Tank Bigsby and of course ETN, not so much Trevor as yet. But as I say, he's gonna show us all in London this week what he can do with his luscious golden locks.
Love seeing Trevor Lawrence's hair blowing in that wind at Wembley and at Spurs. Has a good record. I think he's 3-1 in London. Trevor Lawrence. Jags have a winning record in London as well. Obviously, you're going to be in and around the game on Sunday. I forgot what day of the week it was there.
Yes.
What have you got planned this week? Obviously, the Jags are in town for 2 weeks. Obviously, a massive 2 weeks for you as the international fan of the year. What have you got planned?
Not much really at the moment. I'm going to play it by ear. There's nothing. Channel 5 want to talk to me tomorrow, as we said, but in terms of the Jags, I've got no commitments. They've not been in communication with me at all in terms of anything they want me to do. So I'm just going to basically be a crazy cat, and another fan, and just come into London and just play it by ear, really. So I'll get around the stadium on Sunday, maybe go into the middle of London on the Saturday and do some Duvals at some key iconic London air places, and for a bit of fun. I'm just going to have some fun. I'm just going to find those Jags fans, have a chat with them, and just do what I can to get people to embrace the teal.
Yeah, excellent. We'll make sure we see you when we're in London for the weekend. I think we're going to, fingers crossed, everything should work out by the time we get into London. I think we're going to head to the Goldwood pub near Bank on Saturday. I think your man Tony Baselli is going to be there. So
I'd love to meet him. I mean, he's the one that told me about being an international fan. I've got his signed jersey there, and I'd love to get his signature on this one if I could, but we'll see.
Well, hopefully we will see you there on Saturday, because that's where we're going to be going. at the Global Port, I think it's in Bank or close to Bank Station. So I will fire you across the details, and hopefully we will see you there.
I'll give you one of my little pins for you to wear with pride.
Absolutely. Look, we're pulling for the Jaguars on Sunday. We can't not for all they've done for NFL in the UK. So we're going to be pulling for a Jags win on Sunday. And we're also going to be pulling for lots of points.
I'm sure there'll be an overwhelming Bears presence from the States, I'm sure. So,
yeah. Naturally, the Bears are a real popular team, historic team, aren't they, as well? So hoping for a good matchup. Give us your score prediction then, Captain. What score are you thinking it's going to be on Sunday?
Well, I think it's going to be a game of numbers. Certainly the Jags defense is going to struggle. So they're going to unfortunately, they're going to let a few through. I think it's going to be down to a single field goal. And I think it's going to be something like 28, if that can be done, 28 to say 24, 23, 20.
Game,
20, something just so, I think it's going to be, quite high scoring. I think there's going to be a few, long bombs and big runs and things. And it's the first one that has a turnover, or I think the first one that makes a bad mistake that loses the game, I think, really.
So we're hoping for a good one. Like I say, pulling for the Jags win. A Jags win, a close game, and lots of points. I think that's the perfect outcome for everybody going on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the Jags are going to score plenty of points. It's just a case whether they can keep up with the opposing team, because they're going to score a lot of points too, I think, with our defense at the moment.
Yeah, great matchup, and very much looking forward to it. First of two for the Jags. Mentioned they've got the Patriots in maybe in a less attractive game in the week after.
That'll be. I mean, I'm putting a hex on it now, but I was going to say that'll be an easier win, but that famous last words and all that, because if anything, Jags would have been there for a week. They would have acclimatized, or as they acclimated, But maybe that's what it will do it. So,
yeah. Well, the Jags won both games in their visit last year when they beat the Falcons, beat the Bills. So, no reason why that can't be done this year against the Bears and against the Patriots.
A good win against the Bills, because again, overwhelming Bills presence in the stands. So should be two fantastic games. Captain, you're also going to take part, not here just to talk about the Jags. You're also taking part in our fourfold challenge that our guest is involved in every week. With it. I mean, I'm not the brightest spark in the. I'm not the brightest, and I'm not a fantasy follower as such. But yes, I've given you my predictions. Yes.
I mean, it doesn't help us. Look, we do an entire show on it, Captain, and it doesn't help us get them right either. So don't worry about it. You've gone for your favourite, and I won't take this as a personal insult as a Dallas Cowboys fan, but you've gone for your favourite this week as the Detroit Lions. The Lions take on the Cowboys, and the Lions are favourites by like 3 points. So close game. But what's made you pick the Lions as your kind of favourite to win this week? What makes you think they've got the edge over the Cowboys?
Well, generally, I just think that it's their time. I think they're riding high, and I think, I mean, you should have seen it at the draft. I mean, it was just, and that was just way back. I think they're just, it's their year, I think, really. So, they did well last year, and they've been progressively getting better. They got great management and everything. I think against the Cowboys, I think they've got it.
Yeah, it's all right. The Cowboys are rubbish, Captain Duval. It's okay. You can say it. Struggled to win against the Steelers last week.
Say they're rubbish, not when I'm a Jags fan, But
That's okay. But yeah, Lions favourites against Cowboys. So yeah, it makes sense. I think, as much as it hurts me to say it, I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think the Lions will probably come into Dallas and beat the Cowboys. Unsurprisingly, all our guests do this, absolutely pick their own team, and so they should. You've gone for the Jags with the upset win over the Bears. We've just talked about that. You've also
everybody is saying that the Bears have got this. It's going to be relatively close, but hey, I'm one for the underdog. So
spot on. Look, when everybody zigs in the NFL, you zag. I think that's the way to do it so far this year. All these big favourites are losing games. So big favourites have been losing games outright. So why not this one as well for the Jags as a only a little underdog against the Bears. So it wouldn't be a massive shock for the Jags to beat the Bears, but yeah, certainly I think it's a good shout. You've also gone for the over, so you're expecting a lot of points, which I love because I'll be in attendance. So I want to see big plays left, right, and centre.
There's going to be some great touchdowns and some really scary touchdowns for the Jags as well. I think the secondary are going to get toasted a couple of times. I hope Trevor doesn't get picked, but he's getting better. But there's going to be, we're going to see a lot from Brian. We're going to see a lot from Tank. And of course Kirk. We forget to mention him, but it's going to be some big guns going on both sides, and the defenses are going to struggle to keep up, I think.
Yeah. We'll love to see that. I said we're looking forward. Hope fingers crossed. Evan Engram's back as well. I think huge part of the offense. So
huge difference. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And then the under you've gone for also Cowboys Lions. So it's a big number as well. So
had 52 points in total. Yeah. So I think that'll be different. I think that'll be a little bit different. I think that'll be more. I think the defenses are both stronger. I think they'll keep the scores down a little bit. I think there'll be less big plays. I think it'll be more of in the trenches and everything. I think it'll just be more of a running game. But hey, who am I? I'm just a crazy cat in the suit. What do I know?
Probably no more than us, I think, Captain Duval, at this point, the way we've started the season. But thank you ever so much for coming on to talk about the Jaguars. Appreciate it. We're going to make sure we catch you in London this weekend. Looking forward to seeing you in the flesh. And best of luck to the Jaguars on Sunday and for the rest of the season. And thanks for coming on and being such a great guest.
Thank you. My pleasure, honestly. Thank you.
Excellent. Make sure everyone, if you're not already, go follow Captain Duval over on his Instagram. It's Captain_Duval with 3 U's, DUUUVAL, to keep up with the captain's antics. And like I say, no doubt over these next couple of weeks in London, he'll have
airplanes. Oh,
yes. Hey, you survived. Glad to see you survived.
My next thing is I'm doing a fire walk for the Wessex Cancer Support, and that's walking on hot coals. So that should be interesting.
Oh, excellent! When's that happening?
That's on Halloween.
Oh, nice.
So I've done a face specially for Halloween. It'll scare the kids even more than this does.
Excellent. Well, keep up. I'm sure you'll be posting where we can donate and things like that on your Captain Duval Instagram page.
I will. Thank you. Yes.
Excellent. So make sure you follow and contribute to a fantastic cause as well. Captain Duval, our fantastic guest. We're just going to jump into the rest of our show now, where we'll preview the rest of the games that are on Sky, plus the primetime games, and go through our picks of the week.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks again there to the Jacksonville Jaguars International Fan of the Year, Captain Duval, for sharing his thoughts on the Jags and taking on our full challenge. Looking forward to seeing Captain Duval down in London this weekend. He's going to be here, there, and everywhere, so it'll be great to see the captain in person. I guess we should just have a quick little chat about the London game. I know we've just talked about it, but of course, as it's one of the televised standalone games, we're going to share our bets on it. How are we feeling? It's Jags Bears. Bears are 2-point favourites. The over-under is 44.5. How are we seeing this one?
Thankfully the Jags got that win last week because I think they really needed it. A lot of talk of would Doug Peterson have made the flight out, never mind the flight back. If they hadn't, I think this is a nice matchup for the Bears, though, truthfully. I think you can kind of throw on the Jags relatively at will. And Caleb Williams DJ Moore have been getting better by the week, it feels like, that connection and separately. Caleb Williams, especially, I think the last couple of weeks has really shown growth. Not quite as exciting as Jaden Daniels, obviously, yet, but I've been really impressed with him the last couple of weeks. They have had easier matchups as well, but this is an easier matchup as well. So I think it could be a good game, though. I think the Jags offense, especially if Evan Ingram's back, I don't think they'll match up great because the Bears do have a good pass. I think Bigsby's been really good to start this year, especially compared to how he was as a rookie when he looked like, truthfully, he looked like one of the worst running backs in the NFL. And he looks really good this year. So I think this should be a really good matchup, to be fair. I think the over, what would you say, 44.5? I think that's quite a good line. I think I'd probably be inclined to take the over. But obviously, international and Wembley games always kind of scare me in that sense to go over. But I think I'd lean the over there.
He's fast turf at Spurs. Fast turf.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, a tank on fast turf, it might chew it up, though.
Yeah, that is true. Jags, pretty poor defensively. I think they're giving up the most passing yards per game through the league so far through 5 weeks, just short 290 yards a game. 31st overall in terms of yards per game defensively, and they're giving up 28 points a game as well. So you think as the Bears are improving, it's just a bad matchup for the Jags in terms of just that offense that's improving and the defense for the Jags that doesn't really seem to be getting any better. They really are struggling in the secondary. Let's have a look at Joe, your bets. Let's start with you. Both teams to score a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, I just think that they might try and on the ground. I think the Bears got a few last week with Swift and Johnson. I felt sorry for Swift a few times. He got right down to the 1 yard line, and it was like, "Come on, mate, you come out, get the next man in." And I think the Jags are going to have to try and run it as well. I think, with this game, I think it's all on the Jags' offense because I think the Bears' defense is probably the one great side of the ball for each team. I think the offense is obviously improving, but it's not been against amazing defenses. So if it's what the Jags offense can do against his defense, because hopefully they can do something to make this game interesting. So I think they're going to have to rush a lot, and like what Byron said with Tank Bisbee, and if ETN's coming back as well, I think they're going to have to try and run the ball. So I think both teams could get a rushing touchdown. And I've also got Cole come out over 3.5 receptions. I just think they'll try and get him in the game a bit. I think, especially in these kind of international games, I think it could be like a slow start and the more dink and dunk. So I think they'll try and get the tight end involved, and especially with how, like we mentioned, the Jags defensive backs have been great, but when you got like Trayvon Walker, he's certainly stepped up. And if Josh Hines-Allen's playing, I think they could get after Caleb Williams. So easy options, 5-10 yard passes to Cole Kmet. Hopefully gets 4 quickly and plus 130. I think that's a nice little earner.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we say it's sort of another AFC South team in the Texans have real success getting to Caleb Williams and getting through that whole line. So certainly a big part of the Jags game plan. Byron, Joe mentioned there, Tank Bigsby is a potential option. You've got him anytime touchdown scorer at plus 215. That seems really, really good value.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I guess it's why it's on my sheet, but I was just kind of surprised. I think the Jags are going to be a committee backfield moving forward. But I think Bigsby is the more direct threat right now. He's playing like it. He's breaking big runs. He's breaking tackles. He's not perfect, obviously, but certainly ETN isn't either. And if you're giving it to one of them to get it into the end zone on short distance, I'd be going Bigsby. And he also seems like the one who's going to break a big run at the moment as well. So, plus 215 for what I regard as a starting running back and the most dangerous running back. I think it's just a solid matchup because the Bears' rushing defense isn't as good as the passing defense. So again, I think that's where you're going to have to get them. I do like Joe's rushing bet as well, plus 165. And then, I have DeAndre Swift, 40 plus receiving yards. They're getting him more involved receiving. I had this bet to start the season as well. I think I had him laddered at 25, 40 and 60 or something like that. And I don't think he had a reception week 1. But as the season's going on, they're utilising him more and more. And I think using him more sensibly, I guess, not just pounding him up the middle, which is what he's not good at. But getting him in space and getting him into, plus opportunities for his skill set. I think plus 400 for him to get 40 plus receiving yards. I mean, that could just be 2 catches where Swift can, make a man miss and get going. So, I think plus 400 is a good value on Swift there.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, for your Tank Beats bit as well, Travis Etienne's flashed on the injury report last couple of days as well, with the shoulder injury. So, yeah, potential. I think he got 13 touches last week, or 13 rushes last week. So, but bad news for you, I've taken him off my fantasy football bench for this week. So, inevitably, he'll be shite. So, sorry, Byron. I'll put him back on the bench just for you.
Cheers,
because I still somehow managed to win that game with Gardner Minshew and Tyler Huntley as my quarterbacks, which is
something
very, very impressive feat, I think.
Something Vegas didn't manage to do.
No, definitely not. I've gone on for both teams score a field goal in each half. I think a little bit of that slow start that can happen with these games. So I think that could happen early on, and then inevitably they'll score in the second half. But yeah,
feels like a real London special as well, that right?
Yeah,
feels like love kickers.
Yeah,
what they always say.
That feels one that fits for sure.
What's the weather saying this weekend? Just thinking if it's raining and like the chance of missing. Obviously, the Bears kickers should be used to that, but maybe not the Jags.
I mean, I live dangerously on even though
used to bad weather or used to missing kicks.
Used to the kickers being kicked, aren't they? The Jaguars. London, Sunday, 12 degrees and cloudy.
Okay.
Clear. Low 5% chance of precipitation. Ooh. Although it was supposed to be clear last week and it started lashing down like during the second half of the Jets Vikings last week. So
probably the US government creating another hurricane. I hear that's the latest conspiracy. So
you can shout out, hope everyone in Florida is okay.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I like 6-1. I think as well is this fight. So I always look at that, especially because when you look at over, in essence, it's not a similar bet, but I guess similar bet is over 3.5 field goals, kind of. Mm-hmm. So and it's just much better value. Both teams score a field goal in each half. So yeah, plus 600. And I fancy a defense and special teams touchdown. We saw one at Spurs last week. Andrew Van Ginkel with the pick six of Aaron Rodgers. And as these international games, I always feel like it's big big defensive or special teams plays in them. So again, plus 210 for a defensive or special teams touchdown, which seems really low odds as well for a defensive special team touchdown.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I just checked the sheet then. Yeah. I wonder if it's because the Bears. Yeah, I bet on it last week. The Bears didn't get it, but I think if there's probably a team who's going to get it, probably the Bears with how Trevor is with keeping hold of the ball. But it's lower than expected.
Hoping for a great game anyway, of course. And I'm not giving it out, but I will absolutely be betting the over because I'm in attendance. So 12-9 game incoming.
Hey, if those field goals all come over 2 halves, job's a good one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're praying for a good game. Right, that's the London game in the books. Next up, we've got, I don't know if say this is game of the week or not, because there's some great matchups. But the first Sky game, the early game, is the Washington Commanders up against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. The Commanders are 6.5-point underdogs. Over-under on this one, it's a big one. It's 51.5. I think I might be, did I just see it at 52 as well? Like, it's expecting a big offensive shootout, given how these two teams have started. What do we like in this one, guys? Who are we fancying?
And I'm just glancing at the sheet. I like both your bets, I must be honest. I put mine on as Rashad Bateman to get a 60-plus receiving yards. I think Bateman's been playing well and improving his stats basically on a weekly basis. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he has. But I seen he's on the injury report today, so if I put the bet on right now, I might have looked for something else. But I think Bateman's been playing pretty well, and I think 60-plus receiving yards in this kind of matchup is very hittable. That's plus 400. But yeah, just seeing now your guys' bets for the first time, and truthfully, I love both of them at the odds they are, so I'll let you talk through more what they are. But I mean, I'm loving this matchup. I think it's kind of must-see TV. Obviously, it's in the early window, right? Yeah, so there's not that many must-see games in that window, so I think that'll be red zone, and this will be the prime viewing on the second screen.
Nice. Yeah, should be an exciting one. Joe, do you want to kick us off with yours? I mean, looking for a repetition of last week, right? Likely 2 touchdowns last week against the Bengals. Was it 2? Was it just the 1?
I think he got 2.
I'm sure. I think he got 2.
But yes, it was just the odds. The plus 2,200 for likely to get 2+ touchdowns. It feels like he's the main guy in the red zone if you're not handing it off to Derrick Henry. And I just think with this Commanders defense, it's still not up to scratch. It's still not amazing. And I think Commanders can score on the Baltimore, so I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So who is he going to target? Lamar Jackson when he is down the field, likely is going to be high up there because he just feels like he's not bothered about Andrews. Like being an Andrews fantasy guy who's in my team, it's certainly been disappointing this year. He's not tagged him that much whatsoever. So I just think if he's going to throw it up there, especially when they get down in the red zone, they're looking for a big body, it's going to be likely because he's certainly, the tight ends have not been amazing this year. But he's been one of them who's improved and has impressed quite a lot because he's one of these athletic tight ends where he can make all the plays but still be a big body. So, yeah, plus 2,200 for 2+ TDs. I think it's a great bet because I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I just struggle with that high number, but I'm also thinking these two teams can easily get to 30 because, you just look at last week. The Commanders didn't even play amazing against the Browns on offense, but they still managed to put up quite a lot of points with these big players. And, the Ravens are the number one, rushing offense and passing offense and DVOA. So you're expecting points either side. So I'm hoping it's similar to how the Ravens Bengals game was last week to get another exciting one.
Quick one. Are we being
Bengals game?
Yeah, the Washington Bengals game. Are we being overly critical about this Washington Commanders defense? Because when I was looking around kind of how, especially just how they were matching up, I was expecting to see them a lot further down the list in terms of yards per game that they give up. They give up less than 200 pass yards a game, 130 on the ground. So they're in the top half in terms of pass yards per game, least pass yards per game. They're more like the bottom third for rushing yards and the middle of the pack for total yards per game picked up. And they're only giving up 23 a game. So it's not as if they're giving up a massive points either. Have we been overly critical of this from what we saw maybe in the early weeks of the season?
I'm not sure, truthfully, because I think, to be fair, we're only 5 weeks in and they have played Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones, who Daniel Jones will look better than he normally does, to be fair. But I think against the Bengals, we've seen, that was a shootout. Hopefully, like this week's going to be. Against the Bucks, Baker Mayfield kind of done what he wanted. And against the Cardinals, it was a bit better, to be fair. But I think that was kind of a little bit on Kyler not performing. I think, again, I haven't got the stats in front of me, so fair enough, the stats are what they are. But I think if Deshaun Watson was a good quarterback or the Browns were a competent organization / offense, I think that might look a little worse.
Two big ifs, though, wasn't that? Excellent. I'll finish off with my bet then for this game. I'm just really not sure with this game. I like the 6.5 for the Commanders, but just with the Ravens record against the sort of the NFC teams, they've won the last 10 in a row against the NFC, and the 25-5 in the last 30. The Ravens. Yeah. And I just don't, and when they tend to blow out the NFC teams as well. There's not many tight games that they have against the NFC team. So 6.5 was tempting with the Commanders, but I've left it. I might change my mind on the total as well come Sunday, and that might be an addition to the card. Also, six of the last seven Commanders road games have hit the over. So I was just very conflicted with this one. But I've gone for a little touchdown treble. Potentially expecting a high-scoring game as the over-under line suggests. And with Jaden Daniels, Derrick Henry, and Isaiah Likely, anytime touchdowns at 11-1 plus 1,100. Yeah, we've seen Jaden Daniels obviously run the main kind of. He's certainly an option there that they go to when they get kind of inside the 5-yard line. Derrick Henry, don't really need to talk about him. And then obviously Isaiah Likely had the big red zone game last week. So yeah, 11-1. It is a longer shot. So, but yeah, just with the nature of how we're potentially expecting this game to go, that's what I went for.
Just looking at the over-under, kind of historically with Washington. I know, again, it's a new organization, new regime, new ownership. It's new everything in Washington. As 6-point road underdogs, they are 2-8 overall in the last 10, but the over-under is 8 on the over, 2 unders. So I don't imagine many of those overs have been 51.5, but I think I'm going to hit the over on this one. It's so easy to see both teams getting to 30. and then you're well over the over, obviously. Like, it doesn't. 51's obviously a high number, but the way like these defenses and offenses are playing, I don't think it's that scary of a number. Obviously, you can always get a dud game, obviously, but it doesn't feel like a really high over, even though it is 51.
Yeah, we talked about last week. You can pass on the Ravens. You know, teams not as good as the Bengals managed to do it last week before, and the Bengals obviously with Burrow. I think Burrow went for 5 touchdowns, well over 300 yards. So you'd think that the Commanders have enough. You know, in the weapons that they've got to cause the Ravens some problems through the air, and just how accurate Jaden Daniels has been. Obviously, a bit of a step back last week in terms of his accuracy, but certainly and completion percentage. But certainly, what he's shown so far is that he's capable of doing so. So, yeah, should be an absolute cracker. And we've also got a cracker in the late window as well. Yeah. I think what should be a cracker, and hopefully will be. Dallas Cowboys at home to the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 52. And instantly, when I saw that number, I was on the under. The Cowboys' offense has been struggling. They put up a lot of yards on Pittsburgh last week, which was a good defense. Dallas are terrible in the red zone. So unless they're getting, you know, long touchdown plays, they're going to struggle to punch it in. And, you know, it's going to be a lot of Brandon Aubrey. And I was very tempted to go for another kicking bet. Yeah. And also, to be fair, I think you can probably bang on for 17 games. Longest field goal to be completed on the over, because it's usually something late 40s. Yeah. And it's not often, you know, Brandon Aubrey's missing from 51, so that Cowboys offense stutters so often that he's going to get more than one shot at a 50-yard field goal a game. So, yeah. But, yeah, I just like the under this one. I just don't think Dallas will be able to hold up their end of the scoring. I think the defense slightly improved last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So, hoping that the Cowboys can continue that, although it will be much tougher against a much more explosive and creative Detroit Lions offense. Hoping we'll see maybe some bodies back for the Cowboys. It might be a bit too soon, but yeah, we'll see, and potentially pick up more injuries as well. But yeah, tough game. I'm just going to go on the under in this one, 52 for me.
Yeah, I'm being nearly negative on the Cowboys again. I've gone Lions -3. Thankfully, I was wrong last week, which was a really nice one. You know, Steelers lost outright, never mind on the spread. But I just think the Lions coming off a bye week, that O-line might be the best in the league, ? It must be top few anyway if it's not number one. Cowboys, obviously, I think, performed much better last week than I expected, but I just think Detroit, I think, are basically better in every facet. Maybe not at quarterback itself, but certainly on the offense, play caller, skill talent. And then defensively, they're fitter by, you know, a lot. Aiden Hutchinson's playing like a defensive player of the year. I struggle to see where Dallas win this game, really. So, again, I said the same thing about the Steelers last week. I thought they'd bully ball it, but the Steelers O-line compared to this Detroit O-line is, you know, not quite night and day, but it's a long way apart. So, again, coming off the bye week, I do struggle to see Dallas containing Detroit here, unfortunately. So hopefully, again, I'm wrong. But yeah, my bet is Lions -3 just on the spread, -110.
Yeah, Cowboys are on the bye after this one, and they really need it to get some bodies back as well. Yeah, hopefully we'll see Deron Bland back after the bye. I think we will. His window to practice was opened on Wednesday, so yeah. But we'll see. Joe.
Yeah, I've gone the Lions over 1.5 rushing TDs. I think they're just going to run it down Cowboys' throat quite a lot. I think having the two-headed monster is certainly a bit different to what the Steelers could bring. You know, and like what Byron mentioned, that O-line's a lot different. So I think they're going to try and control the clock. And yeah, I can see them scoring 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns. And yeah, +155 for 2 or more rushing touchdowns. I did like that. So yeah, I also see the Lions winning as well. Just with all the injuries and, you know, even like last year, the Lions should have probably beat the Cowboys on that. It was one of the best games last year. Yeah. I just feel the Lions have stepped up and the Cowboys have dropped off a little bit. So yeah, I'm expecting the Lions to show who they are. And you're talking about the games in the early afternoon. This is the only game in the afternoon which is actually decent. So I think most people will be watching this.
Yeah.
Because some of the other games are.
I'm guessing Tom Brady's on this one as well.
I'll be shocked if he's not. If he's on one of the others, then he's done something wrong to someone.
I assume it's the Fox game. Yeah. I
did have a
struggle for Dallas on this one for sure.
I was having a look. I was really disappointed. Like Joe, you mentioned the game last season, which was a classic. There's on DraftKings certainly, which is where I place most of my bets. There's no market for a Detroit all-line touchdown, which I was really hoping there'd be one because I could well see.
They're going to run it if they get that. If they get that ball to the one, it might shaft Joe's bet as well. That
it might work. Yeah, he might rush it in. You never know.
He might. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I could see, getting a one-on-one and bulldozing a linebacker over to nudge it into the end zone. Yeah. But yeah, I was really hoping to find that market. But yeah, it's not on any of the game specials or any of the player specials, unfortunately. Maybe a different bookie will offer it, but I think that's a fun market because I think football coaches in general have good memories, and Dan Campbell certainly is one of them. So
yeah, or I get on the request to bet Byron to DraftKings or Bet365 or someone for it. Last two meetings between these two have hit the under after 8 consecutive overs. Lions are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 road games. Cowboys are 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 as a home underdog. That Cowboys home dominance that they had has just gone right out the window, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The Packers and in the playoffs, and then the Saints, and then the Ravens. There's a little bit of Cowboys needs to defend Jerry's house a little bit better, but this is not the game for it, I don't think. But if they were 3-3 at the bye, it's kind of probably where we thought they'd be. Just how they've got there has been a little bit different, I guess, than what we'd expect. And if they do find a way to win this game, it'll be a Brucey bonus. On to Sunday Night Football. Rattling through the games this week. Bengals Giants
a bit earlier than last week's Sunday Night Football.
Bengals going to New York to take on the Giants. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. Giants are over. I'll start that again. Cut. Roll. Bengals heading to Giants on Sunday Night Football. Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. Over under in this one is 48. I've got the Bengals. Bounce back spot for the Bengals. They need it. Obviously, they somehow let the Ravens back into that game last week and lost it. I think with multiple chances to win it. They're 1-4. They desperately need it. I'm going for the team that needs it the most. Bengals -3.5. How are you two seeing the game?
Yeah, I'm completely agree with you. I've got the Bengals, just like you said, because they have to have this. I think it's made it like how the Giants played last week. Obviously, makes this game a lot more interesting than how it was at the start of the year. I feel Daniel Jones has played better the last few weeks, especially when he's actually getting protected and he's having time with the ball. So I'm guessing Neighbors is back as well, which will be make this game a lot more fun as well. But yeah, the Bengals just have to have this. And I know Thibodeau's out. He had wrist surgery, so he's out for a couple of weeks. I think that hurts Giants because their D-line actually stepped up last week with the 3 big names making a massive difference. But yeah, I just see the Bengals I think it's going to be a high scoring game just because I think both teams are just going to throw it a lot. I think their strengths is down the field, big plays, and that's why I chose the two number ones in Chase and Neighbors. I think they're gonna be massive in this game.
Yeah,
I think Malik Neighbors is actually going to miss the game.
Is it?
Yeah, he's still in the same stage of the
practice. Yeah,
he's still not practice, and I think he would need to practice every day from tomorrow. Like, obviously, there's not many games left, but because it's very. There's not just a thing you say, oh yeah, Sunday he's fine. Like, you have to clear certain stages, and he's not cleared. He's been stuck on the same one for like a week, basically, is my understanding. And Brian Daboll said today, still no improvement. So it sounds like he's going to miss the game, which
that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. Look, what's that LSU wide receiver off?
Yeah. I just think I just don't. Giants played really well in all 3 phases last week. I just don't. And I think the Bengals are much better than the Seahawks, even though the records wouldn't suggest it. But I don't know if the Giants can get to that level of performance again. on a week-to-week basis. So we'll see. Byron, your bet?
Yeah, I've gone Joe Burrow 3 or more passing touchdowns plus 270. Burrow's averaged 3 passing touchdowns his last 4 games. So against this Giants defense, missing Kayvon Thibodeau. Like Joe says, you get that ball downfield. You got T. Higgins. You got Yoshi Vass been playing well. Wide receivers, tight ends have been doing all right with Gesicki and Eric All as well. And obviously, Jamar Chase is huge. Yeah, I think 3 plus passing touchdowns is not too difficult to hit on a team that wants to throw the ball an awful lot, or certainly does throw the ball an awful lot, whether they want to or not. So yeah, plus 270, I think is a nice price there.
Yeah, got to have this on the Bengals. I think 1-5. I think 1-5 they're done.
Yeah.
This is just
100%.
another one of them on their schedule that they have to have. Like, they've dropped 2 of those games already, the Commanders and the Patriots. Like, you'd understand, and they ended up being really close. You could say that they, get beat by the Chiefs, beat by the Ravens. Not a massive deal early in the season, but yeah, to lose to the Commanders and the Patriots as well, you can't have any of these kind of perceived easy games to be. You can't afford any more slip up. So yeah, going to go for the team with the back up against the wall. Monday Night Football then.
Sorry, before I move on, Joe, did you do your bet?
No, I didn't.
Joe, I'm so sorry.
No, actually, I've gone T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. I'm surprised it was this low of a number. It's a plus 105, so more or less evens. I just think just how ineffective their run game's been. I think they're in the bottom 5 for yards per game. I think they're just going to throw it a lot, big points, and I think how T. Higgins played last week, they're going to get him more involved. So, yeah, I think that's a fairly safe bet. I think T. Higgins is rightfully one of the best number 2s in the game. So I think he's going to get quite a few targets.
I had 14 targets and 10 the week before that. So yeah, I very much like your bet there, Joe.
And before I move on to Monday night, I like to have my little trivias mid-show.
Yes, give it to me.
So the Bengals have never beat the Giants on the road. How wild is that? They've only played 4 times. I was going to say in Giant Stadium, but obviously it's different stadiums over that lifetime. They have covered the spread twice, though. Once in 2008 and once in 1997. Would you like to guess what was the number 1 song on either date?
1997.
What months were there? Just to get
it was 26th October 97 and 21st September 08. Both classics in their own way.
I'm going to guess the 91. Was it Spice Up Your Life? Was it Spice Girls?
No. Good shout.
90,
Anything for?
97. 1997. I can't remember who was popular in 1997. Give me, I don't fucking know, Boyzone and I don't know. Was it Boyzone?
It wasn't Boyzone. No, it was Aqua Barbie Girl in 97.
Oh, nice.
And interesting, in the US, it was Candle in the Wind because Princess Diana had died a few weeks earlier. So.
Yeah.
Diana.
And then what was it? What month? 2008.
21st September 2008.
September 2008.
Was it Base Hunter?
No, it's something a bit cooler than Base Hunter. Like it's a song that you might actually listen to. Unlike
the next guest was going to be Shawnee Paul, but
oh no, unfortunately, not. That would have been a good one too.
Something I actually listened to.
And around the world, it was a pretty good week, I thought, for number 1. You had Lady Gaga, Just Dance, Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl in Germany and Canada. This is a great website. But yeah, in the UK, it was like an indie rock band, or listed as an alternative rock band.
Was it the Arctic Monkeys?
It was not. It was the Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire.
Oh, Sex on Fire, yeah.
So yeah, feel free to go on to Monday Night Football now with 0 on the 97-2008 number 1s.
That famous song about gonorrhea. Excellent.
Barbie Girl.
Not that one, no.
Oh.
Monday Night Football. Speaking of on fire, somebody got fired. Robert Saleh became the first casualty of the NFL head coach. He was the first one to be fired, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You're fired. Yeah, a little bit out of the blue. Do you think at 2
Somewhat.
and 3 when they kind of got a game? This game, if they win this game on Monday, they'd be top of the division.
Hilarious. Yeah, it is kind of out of the blue. I mean, I think they could have fired Salah in the offseason and Nathaniel Hackett, and would have been justifiable. I don't care what QR on Rodgers says. I didn't know anything. People over it bollocks. The idea that he spoke to Woody Johnson on Monday night, not about Robert Saleh, and the next morning Robert Saleh gets fired and escorted off the premises by security.
Yeah, that was
If
rough.
you believe that Aaron Rodgers had no say in the matter, then you are a fool. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, yeah, Rodgers is full of shit, as he always is. I do feel a bit sad for Salah. I don't think he's a good head coach. I don't think he's in a good position either, though. I don't think they've done a great job of drafting outside of a few names. And I don't think they've done a very good job in free agency either, truthfully. You give all the control of the organization over to Aaron Rodgers. And if it doesn't work, then it's a huge mistake, obviously. Like, if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, then it's a huge mistake. So I think he's kind of been a bit of a patsy here, Robert Saleh. But I don't think he's done enough to say, like, he definitely shouldn't have lost his job because he wasn't performing either. So I guess ultimately a bit of both. Like, it's a bit unfortunate to lose it after week 5, but I don't think he's winning this. I don't think he's going to be the coach who takes the Jets to the Super Bowl or to win playoff games.
Yeah, because those rumors he was trying to get rid of Hackett as well. I don't know if you heard that before this actually happened. But yeah, I think obviously there's something behind the scenes which has made this decision. I don't think it's obviously performance is not being great. It's not been good since he's really been there. Obviously his defense has been good, more or less all the time he's been there. It's obviously the offense which has cost him the job, but you're the head coach. It's the results. It's everything. So he'll certainly land back on his feet as a defensive coordinator. He's probably one of the best in the league for that. But yeah, I definitely think there's something behind the scenes not quite right to be like, oh, if we beat against Buffalo, which is a winnable game, we're going to be top in the division. I don't think you fire someone just based on that. I think obviously there's something going on behind where he's either not meshing with, the guy who runs the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, or even the GM. I think, I think he's got to take quite a bit of this blame as well because the players he has brought in and it's not quite worked. So we'll get rid of Salah, and then if it doesn't quite work, we'll get rid of the GM. I think next, Joe Douglas, because you're not going to get rid of Rodgers unless he retires at the end of the year. So yeah, and obviously with Hackett, he's actually been demoted, which I think they've just done that just because how the pushback, not the pushback, but the negativity around Hackett after this firing to be like, well, he deserved to be fired. It's the offense. It's been horrible. So I think they're like, we'll demote him so it looks like it wasn't Rodgers or it wasn't someone who actually got Salah fired. So yeah, I think it stinks a bit. It's a typical kind of Jetsy move where the owner just makes snap decisions, and yeah, we'll see where it leads them. I'm not quite sure having a new coach is going to fix what their issues actually is.
I mean, it's a bizarre one. They might as well at this point, instead of, like I said, they should have just fired Hackett. What's the point in kind of demoting him? What they should have just done was had him go up in the booth and just not connect his headset to the comms and just have him think that he's still calling the plays. Well, Aaron Rodgers is just doing what he wants and he just go along with it.
I don't think he calls the plays. I still think Rodgers does it.
He definitely doesn't now.
Yeah. I don't know how much he actually was involved or it seemed a bit of a patsy, but
yeah.
I do find it interesting if you're seemingly, Joe is certainly on my mindset of Aaron Rodgers is well aware of who's getting fired in that building, etc. Since 2018, Aaron Rodgers has had more coaches fired than he has playoff wins. Fun fact number 2 of the episode.
I mean, are we saying that Aaron Rodgers is a coach killer? He's had, this will be now our 4th head coach in 20 years. I don't think I would buy that now that Aaron Rodgers is a coach killer.
Well,
but I agree that he runs the show. Just even if you look at some of the signings they made last year, I know Lazard's actually worked, this year's actually been decent, but there was plenty of players they brought in, and you're like, why are they bringing Aaron Rodgers' best mates in when they're past the best? And there was a rumor he had.
offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
It's not because of his job. It's not because
he
of
had
abilities.
he had a list of, there was like the room, he had a list of players which they had to sign for them to, and he was like, no. Then you sign, Cobb. Like no one wanted him. You know what? No one wanted him, but the Jets gave him these decent contracts. So it's just, I don't think I'll be curious now that these changes is because I think it's starting to how the season started is like as Rodgers basically obviously it's past his best, but is this a sharp decline happening? And now I don't think there's any excuses if he carries on the next few weeks. Yeah,
he was awful on Sunday. The last interception, maybe not so much, but the other two interceptions were awful.
Yeah,
what he did do,
he said about it was
I did watch the say he was on McAfee, obviously the delayed day, but he spoke. What was good in that segment was actually he was asked questions about the Vikings defense and the problems that they posed him. He spoke very well about that, which was real interesting. So worth and paid the appropriate respect to Brian Flores' defense and the difficulties they posed. But he was real bad. He's not. I thought he'd come back from the injury and would be. I mean, maybe not prime Aaron Rodgers, but I thought he'd be able to get with this. So there's enough there on that offense with weapons to get something going.
Give Rodgers it's not all his fault because that offensive line is just shocking. The running game's the worst in the league.
Yep.
And you get it, and when you get him through over 50 times, it's not pretty.
Yeah. Let's get into the game anyway. So the Jets host the Bills on Monday Night Football. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites. Over/unders 41. With all this that's going on, I mean, I've not bet it, but I'd take the Jets 2.5, a divisional home underdog. And I know this is different, but the Bills, the way the Bills finished that game, and I know they did well to come back in the game, but 2 weeks in a row where they've not played very well. Josh Allen's on the back of his worst passing performance. Something's not quite right after the Bills started on fire. I'll take the Jets as the underdog, I think. But the bet I'm going to go for is Alan Lazard. You mentioned, Joe, one of his buddies. He's got 4 touchdowns in 5 games. He seems to be a big red zone target for them. Yeah, Alan Lazard 2.5 to 1, plus 250. Yeah.
Wide receiver 1 and an assistant to the offensive coordinator. So
yeah, absolutely.
Man of many talents.
I'll take Alan Lazard.
I'm taking Alan TD as well. Josh in this case. Plus 130. He's got 6 touchdowns. Rushing, obviously, he's got more passing, but they don't count for this. 6 rushing touchdowns in 11 games against the Jets. I just kind of think he's due. I don't think he got any last year. So there is talk, I think James Cook might be missing the game as well. So not that he hands the ball much to James Cook near the goal line. It's normally Josh Allen who takes it anyway, but even more incentive to do so. So yeah, I think plus 130 Josh Allen touchdown is pretty much always a good bet. And sorry, I cut you off, Joe.
I was going to say you're worried about the concussion, non-concussion, smelling salts.
He was out.
Yeah,
he was.
I'm worried for his health.
Never gone back in that game.
Yeah, I worry for his health. I'm not worried about him playing football this week because I don't think the Bills give 2 hoots, and I don't think Josh Allen does either.
Yeah,
I imagine Josh Allen flick off it happened.
What about the whole offense as a whole? Just how they played against the Texans, and now they're playing against another good defense where like we mentioned last week, Shakir's out on Sunday. They just can't get an offense going. It's
I think this is one of the toughest games of the slate to predict. Actually, I took the Bills. Joe, Paul, you said you took the Jets. Obviously, both of these teams. It's like I don't know who's going to turn up. Like even down to the players. Actually, like is Rodgers going to look competent? Is Josh Allen going to look like he's had a concussion? Is the Bills' defense going to be a sieve, or is it going to be okay? I really don't know who's going to turn up. But I just went with the Bills on like continuity and kind of like if all else is equal, I'll take Josh Allen.
Yeah,
but it's not. This won't be one I'm betting.
Yeah, I mean,
should be fun to watch, but yeah, not one I'll be betting.
Yeah, the bit that turned me, I think, as well is all flashed on the injury report. So I've not practiced all limit practice. Matt Collins, Khalil Shakir still, Curtis Samuel, James Cook.
Yeah,
you just out of Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, aren't you now? Really?
Oh, Dawson Knox erasure, but yeah.
Dawson Knox, yeah.
Yeah, Ray Davis might be in for a workload, the rookie running back. He looked kind of good in the preseason. And Ty Johnson always pops up with like stupid like touchdowns here and there. But yeah, I mean, that isn't a Ray Davis, Keon Coleman, Ty Johnson, and Dalton Kincaid isn't a you wouldn't say it as a fantasy game day lineup, would you?
Not at all, no. Yeah, so interesting one. Just a quick couple on this. Unders 8-2 in the last 10 meetings between these two, including the last 5 in a row. And the under is 15-5 in the last 20 Buffalo Bills road games.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we might see some interceptions too, right?
Yes, Joe.
Yeah, so my bets, I've got both QBs over, well, basically throwing an interception, so plus 230. I think both of these quarterbacks are hero quarterbacks, and they're playing against defenses who are opportunities. Yeah, whatever that word is. There you go.
Opportunistic. There we go. Yeah.
There you go. So yes, I think both could throw a touchdown. Yeah, I was similar to Byron. I've gone Bills. This was the one I swapped the most, just because I didn't know if there was going to be the new head coach bump for the Jets.
Interim head coach bump, yeah.
Yeah, but that O-line is just shocking. I think the Bills are, decent again in the quarterback. I think the Bills got the worst rushing defense, but the Jets are the worst rushing offense. So we'll see how that see who wins out in that one. So yeah, I just think both QBs at 230 for inception. Yeah, really nice little bet.
Good value, and I'll stop forgetting to go see for your bets as well, Joe.
I would we're talking about like the end. We're not talking about the end of Aaron Rodgers necessarily. I don't know if you guys quite when you got properly into NFL or what have you, but like I don't know if you remember Matt Schaub, the Texans quarterback, and I'm kind of hoping this is how Aaron Rodgers goes out because it was kind of funny. Like, no offense to Matt Schaub, but in the 2013 season, he threw a pick 6 in weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5, having been a pretty solid starter.
Pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah, I liked watching that. I mean, Andre Johnson was a bit
team, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'd just love to Aaron Rodgers just go out for him pick 6s every week because he's done it so infrequently in his career. And I always think back, like when an old quarterback throws pick 6 and you don't expect it, like Rodgers last week. I always just think back to that Matt Schaub, like it was literally 4 weeks in a row, and I think he then got benched, and that was kind of the end of his starter career, and he like backed up in Atlanta, I think, after that. But I just always think of that like wild 4 weeks of Matt Schaub's career. It's like kind of like when Gary Neville got retired against West Brom. It's like, bro, the game is telling you it's over. And I'd love that to be how Aaron Rodgers goes out. No offense, A-Rod. But I would absolutely love it. I think it'd be hilarious.
No offense, and then we hope your career just completely falls apart.
The no offense was a joke. Much offense.
Much offense. Excellent. Good stuff. Right, that brings us into our preview of the games, plus a little Robert Sauer chat as well. Into the draft. Our 4-4 challenge continues. Joe got a half. Well, I'll stop diminishing you in Joe. Yeah. Joe got a win last week, 3-0-1 at half the odds. 6 plus 600 or 6-1. So he
say his bets. We'll give him a victory.
I know, yeah. I'm just sorry, Joe.
Did you guys fall out when you went for a drink or something?
Pissed me off about knowing. But Joe, you did get to go. You did get to go first this week, though. So how's about that? So give us your shit pick.
Thanks, come on. Yeah, no. Always glad to be shit.
Love spending your time on it with me, don't you?
Yes. Cool. Where am I going to go first? I'm going to go an underdog. Just because I haven't got that many this week, and I was surprised that there were underdogs at home. I'm going to go the Broncos at plus 2.5 against the Chargers. I think it's this bit disrespectful being underdogs at home against this Chargers team. I know the Chargers started off well, but they've not been, mind blowing. They've not been destroying teams, and they've not had the hardest schedule. So it was at -3 when we first looked at it. I wish it was like a little bit more, but I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I just think that defense is lights out. It's definitely top 5, possibly top 3. So, and I don't think this Chargers team's anything, amazing. I know they're coming off the bye. That probably helps getting a few players back fit. Getting Justin Herbert more fitter than he was before the bye, but yeah, give me Broncos at home at plus 2.5.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Again, I was a big fan of the divisional home underdog. Denver pretty good against the Chargers recently, 7-3 against the spread in the last 10 meetings between the two. So yeah, I always love a divisional underdog at home. I think they've won 9 out of the last 10 in Denver against the Chargers. So, I know this is a different Chargers team now, but that's a good show, Joe. I'm going to take my favorite, and I'm going to take, again, mentioned it already, and I'm on the bet, so I'm going to double up. I'll take the Bengals -3.5 against the Giants, and it's again we've talked about, but yeah, I just think Bengals have got to have it. Bengals have to have it. I'm going to take the team with the back up against the wall against the Giants team that's maybe been playing better than expected and playing more than the sum of its parts, but the Bengals. Think they improved a little bit, oddly conceding 40 points, but they were offered up a little bit more resistance against the Ravens. But I'm going to take the Bengals on the road in New York on Sunday Night Football -3.5. And I'm really sorry, Joe. I keep putting you in this spot during this bit where I pick games that we've already talked about. And that means we move on a lot quicker because I don't need to chat about my pick too much. Byron, first of your team.
Well, I wouldn't dare be so rude. I know Joe puts a lot of hard work in. It's not quick to do. So I'm going to take the Lions. -3 against Cowboys. My apologies, Joe. I won't be doing it for my fourth pick, though, so we'll buy some time there. Or will I? No. Yeah, again, I just think Lions are much stronger. They're coming off a bye week. Cowboys need a bye week. Thankfully, it's coming soon. And yeah, it's an indoor game. There's not really elements for Jared Goff to go and battle with. Sam Laporta, another week recovered from his injury. All the things we already talked about, that whole line, the good rushing attack. I just, struggle for... Again, I picked the Steelers as a favourite last week to beat the Cowboys. Hopefully I'm wrong again.
So you do it every time the Cowboys are an underdog and then we win.
Yeah, I mean, ideally I'll get a push and a half win on my fourth. That'd be nice. If Dallas can win by 3... Would that give me a push? No, I can't count.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works. It'd be the Lions winning by 3 that'd give you the push.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll win by more than 3 then. Cowboys aren't going anywhere this year regardless. We've talked about that game plenty in detail. I'm going to take the under Steelers Raiders, under 36.5. If the Steelers offense had looked better last week, I might be tempted to avoid this game. But they didn't. George Pickens was asked about his lethargic, to be polite, approach to route running last week and kind of just shrugged it off and dismissed it and said he can only do what he can do with the ball when he gets the ball, or words to that effect. Bad attitude is kind of where I'm going with that. Justin Fields didn't have the best of weeks last week. He's showing a bit hot and cold, and Russell Wilson is now fully fit and practicing. So maybe we're heading for a bit of drama in Pittsburgh on who's going to be the quarterback. Obviously, we've had a bit of drama around the quarterback in Vegas as well because neither of them are competent. And I think TJ Watt is going to be licking his lips because he gets to chase AOC around. Not as much as if it was Nick Bosa getting to chase AOC around. That is a political joke for everyone there because Nick Bosa, I think, is openly very right-wing and AOC is a left-wing politician. Great little for you there. But yeah, I don't think the Raiders put up 10 points in this game. No Devontae Adams. Not much of a run game to write home about. I know the Steelers' defense has come up short a little recently, but I think overall you'd still take them to dominate a team like Vegas. I'm going under 36.5. I think Steelers should win this. I'm not going to say super comfortably, but I think they'll have it well in hand.
Do you worry that because Wilkins is on injury report now, so that's a big injury and how they got blown out by the Broncos, who are another team similar to the Steelers, who are not amazing on offense, and then suddenly, that one hit majorly over. So that's probably the one I just worry about, the Steelers getting on a run and the Raiders collapsing like last week. Yeah,
the Wilkins thing definitely bugged me a little bit. The blowout, not as much, because I think kind of like that's a more Sean Payton approach. Like when he's winning, he definitely wants to give you a kick in. Whereas I think Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin to a degree want to win by 6 points for some reason, come what may. It's definitely a concern, but I just don't have enough faith in the Steelers offense not that I have a huge amount of faith in the Broncos offense going into last week, I must say, to be fair. But yeah, I just think Sean Payton is much more like a stamp on someone's throat when they're down, whereas Arthur Smith just doesn't seem to have that in mindset, really.
Excellent.
He's on for you, Paul, yeah.
I'm straight. Yeah, so I'm stalling. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm like, I'll take my favorite over. I don't have one. I'll take over Buccaneers Saints. What a terrible, terrible decision that was. That was it. I'm not preparing a list this week. Spencer Rattler could just be chaos.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, and that's
I really hope it is Rattler.
My theory that a little bit of maybe the Bengals kind of just won't. The Buccaneers. Yeah, just. You don't really have any tape on him, or too much for slate. And he was just involved in wild games in college, South Carolina as well. So I think the Saints going to need to get creative. I think the Saints have stalled the last few weeks as well, kind of at the start, and now they've lost 3 in a row. And they just need to get offense going again a little bit. And I just think you might be finding to do a lot of creative things. And I think the Bucs can put up points. We saw the game against the Falcons. The Bucs capable of putting up points. I think it's a low number, but I'll take over 41.5. Buccaneers, Saints, and just hope for chaos with Spencer Rattler.
Well, I'm guessing the good thing with this Saints is how many big players have been hitting. And obviously it's Carr, so you're just hoping they continue with that with Shaheed and they just bomb it down. And with how the Bucs played against the Falcons last week, they couldn't really stop too much on defense, especially passing. So is Winfield back? So I'm guessing would be a big.
That'd be a big one. No, they've been back. Vita Vea played last week, didn't he? I think he's practiced yesterday, Antoine Winfield. Okay. So you'd therefore, if you practice Wednesday, you think he'd be if he should play.
Because they're a whole different defense when he plays. So
massively.
But but 41.5, that's a decent number.
And if it ends up being bad Spencer Rattler and he has a lot of turnovers, then it's good for points as well. So
yeah,
hopefully
I like that he came out saying I think he was roughly asked something about do you view Chris Olave as an important target? Or I can't remember exactly how it was phrased. And he's like, yeah, my job is to get him the ball. And he's like, okay, well, it's been a bit of a bleak start to the season for Chris Olave, your fantasy managers, etc. Maybe an uptick coming for Chris Olave. Maybe something to consider Fantasy Gameday. I'm not sure if he'll be in our lineup or in our picks for the week, but I think he's definitely someone to consider maybe as a bit of a differential play coming off a cold start to the season. Because I think, again, you much more in tune with college football than me, Paul. Rattler feels to me like he has a bit of a Jameis Winston to his game where he's going to sling it regardless. And with Clint Kubiak, scheming things, I think that could be a positive for someone like Olave and maybe Shaheed. I mean, Shaheed had an incredible start to the season anyway. Obviously, I'm not going to say it's an improvement over Carr, but maybe Olave might end up getting 18 targets. Because you remember how James used to be with Mike Evans. It was just Mike Evans is getting the ball. He's getting the ball. It doesn't matter what the coverage is. He's getting the ball.
Yeah, he just because, and he can move as well. He can, he can move. Can be fairly mobile. So if he finds himself under pressure, we'll see how it goes for Spencer. But fingers crossed he has a good showing for the Saints. And it's a good game. But over 41.5, Saints Bucks. Joe on the double.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my over and under. Just struggle with the under. I don't really want to go Chargers Broncos. I don't want to double up. Do I? Let's do my over first. It was in between two. I'm going to go Washington, Baltimore. I just think that's going to be a high-scoring game.
That was my favorite of the week.
Yes, I think we're going to go that. Yeah, I think I struggle with that one and the second one. No, it's not the highest one, is it? Cowboys is the highest. But the other high one as well, I was tempted to go with. It's Byron's left. So I was tempted to go Packers, Cardinals, but Cardinals defense is always up and down, so I just couldn't be confident. So Commanders, Ravens, over, and then under. Do I double up? It's 35.5. No, you know what? I'm gonna go with another game we've already talked about. I'm gonna go the Lions, Cowboys.
Fucker, that's what I was going to take.
Just because 52 is very high, and we've already talked about. Yeah, I think both defenses are going to, especially Lions, the defense is going to dominate. So
I can think about my under as you've both taken it. So I'll take my underdog. I am torn between two. Give me the Carolina Panthers at home, +6 against the Falcons. Just same principle, division underdogs at home. Really, the Falcons should be beating the brakes off the Panthers, but I'm just going to take it that we don't. Are we going to build our fantasy game day team around the Falcons by any chance?
I mean, I sent over my lineup now that we figured out how to do the spreadsheet. And yeah, it was.
So it's good if I take the Panthers. That's good because it means it probably won't happen, and the Falcons will beat the shit out of them.
Or if they're losing, they'll be throwing the ball a lot, and we have Kirk Cousins, Drake London there. Bijan Robinson just came on the injury report today, so we might have to rejig because I did have Bijan in my lineup, which certainly isn't a set in stone thing by any means. But yeah. Yeah,
there's no good stats to back this pick up. It's just division underdogs at home. I know the Falcons have had a mini bye and they came off the back of that crazy overtime win. Primetime Kirk might have a non-primetime rough day. We'll see.
Yeah.
Byron.
Yeah, so what we've got, it's my last two picks. Cool. So my underdog is the Commanders. +6.5 against Baltimore. I just think 6.5 is too many in what should be a really fun, hopefully close game. Baltimore could well win it. I just think 6.5 is an awful lot with how Washington have been playing. Obviously, we've talked about that game a few times, so I'm not going to dig in too much on that. And then for overs, what did I have as my over? I had a few to pick from. I'm not going to double down on Commanders. What are the numbers here? I'm going to go over 48 Bengals Giants. Shane Malik Neighbors looks like he's missing, but again, the Bengals can't really tackle anybody, so it might be another Tyrone Tracy game, might be a Devin Singletary game. Wandale Robinson might get 400 targets again. Darius Slayton might get 2 touchdowns. And I mean, the Bengals, again, I can easily see putting 30 plus points up here. I think, kind of, again, like we've said a few times, we have discussed this game, it's got to have it for the Bengals. And with how heavy they are on the passing, I think they can put up points everywhere, essentially. So, yeah, I would only be surprised seeing this one, be well on the way to 30, 35 points at halftime. Never mind coming into it. So, yeah, 48, I think, is doable, certainly. Yeah, I had the Commanders Ravens as my top choice of the week, but yeah, Joe took that one already. So I'll go, Bengals at Giants over 48.
Yeah, Joe, we're not going to give you much time. I've talked about the unders. Shall I do it now? I never want to take the Thursday game. I just don't want to kill my fourfold. I just don't want to kill my fourfold. Yeah. So I'm very tempted by that Thursday game under because I think that's a lot of points. The Seahawks need a break desperately.
It sounds like as well, like I know we covered the previous game the other day, but 49ers are going with 4 tight ends active, which seems like it's going to be a real run-heavy script.
Yeah.
Which makes it harder to get to 50 points.
And there's a lot of injuries as well. Just the injury reports just come out. It's not looking good for both teams.
Inactives, I'd be tempted, but I just don't want to shaft my fourfold before Sunday. So I'm going to take Cowboys Lions under 52. It's just too big a number. I don't think the Cowboys.
I've already taken that.
Oh, yeah. I'm an absolute mare. And I swore about you taking it.
I know. It was like when Byron mentioned about doubling upon Commanders. I was like, I've already taken that as well.
What am I doing?
I mean, to be fair, when I said it, I said Joe's taking it.
Yeah. What am I doing? My head's an absolute shed. Apologies. I might have screwed myself taking the Panthers because I might have been thinking that would be the under that I was going to take. God damn it. Browns Eagles under 42.5. Not
weirdly,
well.
I was thinking of that as an over.
Yeah.
I didn't take it, so certainly not like a.
I know the Eagles are back off they've just had a bye and they are probably going to beat the brakes off the Browns. But I think this might be, I think we might see like Watson hooked or injured or whatever, which might be a good thing for them. I don't know, but they are just rancid, aren't they? So I think the Eagles off a bye might tighten up defensively as well. So 42.5, I'll take the Eagles. Probably a comfortable home win, but 42.5.
Well, for that, I think it works that if Browns don't get too many points, and the Browns are probably the best on defense, so they might be able to hold the Eagles down to 20 or 30 points, and Yeah, so it all depends on Jalen Hurts because he's been so up and down this year. He's either gonna he's either gonna like him and AJ Brown go nuts with tons of yards, or he's gonna end up like safety and interception in the in his own 20-yard line. So yeah, I do like that. I was thinking of that as well, Paul. So
yeah,
and I was also thinking of the 49ers one as well, but
yeah, the 49ers one, I'll bet the 49ers one under 49.5. So I'll be real annoyed if the other three come in and this one doesn't, and I've just stayed away from it because I don't want my 4-4 screwed, even though I've bet on the game as the under. Joe, we need your favourite, Joe, to finish off.
Yeah, so I've got the three I wrote down is I did write the Bengals down. That was probably my favourite. For the three, I'm going to go. I don't want to go against you, Paul. Because I've got the Titans, but I'm not 100% confident in the Bucks. You know what? I'm going to go the Falcons. I'm going to go against Paul.
We love it.
Yeah, let's go against each other. Just because I think I said it last week. I went against the Panthers last week with the Bears, and I'm just going to do the same. I think just how the Falcons ended that Thursday night football, they've obviously had extra time off as well. They've had like a mini bye, and I think how the Panthers defense is looking, I think they're just going to throw all over them. I think it's going to be huge games for Mooney and Drake London. So yeah, let's go the Falcons.
Excellent. So while Joe's pricing them up, so I guessed you heard Captain Duval, he went for the Lions as his favourite, the Jags, unsurprisingly, as his underdog, the over in the Jags Bears, and the under in Cowboys Lions, which I also tried to do. Ignoring the fact that Joe had already taken it. Joe, you're not there. The guests are holding up the rear at the minute. 6-9-1. Joe next 7-12-1. Byron 9-11, and myself 9-10-1. Fingers crossed we hit a clean fourfold this week, which would be nice. Byron, don't shake your head like Joe got his win last week, but 3-0-1 isn't what we're after, is it? 4-0 is what we're after.
Yeah, but I don't think it needs an asterisk every time you mention it. You could just say, Joe.
Well, I didn't put an asterisk by it.
Every time you mention it, clean win. It's not Lance Armstrong. I'm just respecting his win. He made a nice.
He's the only one that's won. He's the only one of us that's won on it. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out Joe, in my opinion.
All right, enough.
Not your little feud you've got in. Now you've got a match up on the fourfold. It's getting out of hand, this.
Yeah, it's getting a bit.
I feel like we're heading for an ATN heed the call.
Maybe.
We know who Paul's going to be.
Heed the Paul.
Yeah.
Byron, your fourfold. All right, enough. Pipe down. 12.62, your fourfold minus 12.28. Joe's yours 11.75 again.
Might come in at 600 as well.
It might.
Hits like 52 on the Dallas Cowboys. For half a win.
There we go. Right. That's the fourfold. Hopefully we'll get our win this week. I said it again. Next up, our ATS Picks Competition, which we'll cover off the rest of the games we haven't talked about. Thursday Night Football has already happened by the time you're listening to this. Niners, Seahawks, me and Joe back in the Niners. Byron on the Seahawks. For the London game, I flipped and flopped. I just gone for the Jags. I realised I didn't have many underdogs on the ATS, so I went for the Jags. We're all on the Packers, all on the Eagles to cover the 9.5 against Cleveland. Cleveland going to win outright, aren't they? the biggest underdog of the week potentially.
Always wins.
Yeah. On that note, I took the Patriots +7. It's horrible. 2 reasons: Drake May's first start. The red pack, the Patriots throwbacks.
No Nico Collins as well.
Nico Collins.
I don't think this is wild. I struggled with this game, truthfully. I did pick up. He might be available in our fantasy league, so maybe I shouldn't. But I picked up Jalen Polk in a few redraft leagues as well. I just think he looks like the Patriots' best wide receiver by some measure, in my opinion. And Drake May is really good. I know we haven't seen him at the NFL level yet, and there's worries about the O-line might kill it. I think generally, if you're good enough, you're good enough. I'd probably want to wait a little longer, but I understand putting him in. Get his feet wet, see how he does. I struggled with this one, truthfully, especially with no Nico Collins. The Texans haven't been perfect, and 7 points is a lot, so I wouldn't be stunned to see this one go to you.
Yeah, Joe, do you think it's the right time for Drake May, or do you think they should have held on and rolled with Brissett a bit longer?
I think we could how he's standard through the media with the locker room. I think they've given up on Brissett. So I think you just got to throw him in, like balance. If he's good enough, he's good enough. He might show something. I think that Houston, the only issue is they're playing against a great defense and you've got a terrible below line. So I think it's going to be a huge game for Anderson and whatever the other guy's called. The defensive end. Yeah, there you go. Hunter. I think it's going to be huge against them. So I think he's going to struggle, but how they played last week against, another terrible offense in Miami. It's, hopefully looks a little bit better.
Yeah. We're all on the Titans. There's 2.5 point favorites. That's why I just don't like it all. I feel better. I assume it is going to be Anthony Richardson back. I think if it's Flacco, it's a different number.
Well, I think all the injuries as well you mentioned as well from the cold side that sent to the Downs is on the injury report. Pittman sounds like he's out. Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor still as well. So and the backup, I think Sermon as well. So all on the Bucks. Bucks minus 3.5 at the Saints. Just me flying on the Ravens. This will be the week where I've not been on them. That obviously they won't cover. Ravens at home to the Commanders. Me and Joe on the Broncos at home to the Chargers, coming off a bye as underdogs. All on the Steelers. I'm on the Panthers. The more I look at that, the more I'm regretting it. All on the Lions, all on the Bengals, and I'm riding solo on the Jets on Monday Night Football. That's everything covered in terms of the games. Shall we have a quick look at Fantasy Gameday?
Mm-hmm.
Our tips for Fantasy Gameday. So Fantasy Gameday took off to the bloody moon last week. So the DraftKings removing their fantasy sports offerings from the UK. Good riddance. Fantasy Gameday is there to take over. So the fastest growing, for sure now, and best NFL Daily Fantasy Game in the UK. Come and join the revolution. Sign up using promo code COVER. You'll get yourself a free play after your first entry. You submit your team using the budget, pick your lineup of stars, watch the points roll in, and if you finish in the top 20%, you'll earn yourself some money. You'll win a cash prize. Over £4,000 given away last week. And the guys have added another new game this week. So on top of the £7.50 entry, the original game, there's a lower £3 per entry game, and now a £25 per entry if you're a high roller. Get yourself involved. But use promo code COVER and you get yourself a free play for whichever game you choose to go to, I believe. Promo code COVER. So our picks this week. Joe, let's start with you. You've got Jordan Love as your tip for quarterback.
Yeah, I was mainly made that pick because I saw what you guys picked and they were my top two. So I went for Jordan Love was the first. I think at the price, obviously when you look at like Jackson and Daniels, they're way up in the 7,000. So I think with Jordan Love, you've got a high ceiling but low floor where he's so erratic. And he's played against a defense who is the exact same, where they can look good how they did against 49ers, or they can look atrocious how they looked against the Commanders. So I always think Jordan Love's always a good shout just because how many touchdowns he throws, how many deep balls he throws to other wide receivers. You're just hoping that he has a game where he limits the interceptions for him to hit big. But like I said, your guys, QBs were probably my top two, especially Byron's was. I think, I'll let Byron speak about it, but I've got a feeling a lot of people are going to go there this week.
So I've gone Kirk Cousins at Carolina. The Panthers' defense stinks, and Atlanta are really rolling offense. 509 yards, Thursday Night Football, mini bye.
I was shocked at that price.
Yeah, I was too, actually. Yeah, it's nice. Like I say, we've finally figured out how to get the spreadsheet over, and I'm a bit of a. Not a bit of a geek, I'm a lot of a geek. So like two of my leagues are very like weekly dependent. Like we have a weekly draft and there's people knocked out every year. And what I kind of have is like a master spreadsheet that has like all the implied totals, over-unders, matchup rankings, etc. And Kirk Cousins is pretty high on everything. And then I look at the Fantasy Gameday sheet and he's pretty mid-priced. And I was like, okay, well, that's a pretty smash for me. Let's set our lineup around Kirk Cousins because at 5,600, I think he's a great price. And I think the Falcons can run the ball here, but I think they want to throw the ball, and Cousins is looking better kind of by the week, really. And last week, I mean, that's the best look Kirk Cousins has looked in A very good while, to be fair. Like I said, 500 yards doesn't come easy. And the Panthers can't stop anybody. So, yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for Atlanta to put up a lot of points in a division matchup.
Yeah, fair. Which is why I'm on the Panthers +6. Everybody zigs. You Zach. I'm on Baker Mayfield. I think the Bucs might just end up with a few extra possessions, just facing a rookie. So, yeah, potential, a lot more time possession, potential for more. Mike Evans, more Chris Godwin. So, yeah, I've just taken Baker at the Saints. Yeah, gone against that one. I mean, and normally I should fall on the sword and go Saints +3.5 in that one, divisional underdog at home, but I just couldn't do it with kind of
not a normal matchup, is it?
Yeah, bit of a different one. So Baker I like, and I also like Chuba Hubbard against the Falcons as well, just because he's the only thing that's going good for the Panthers, really, I think, and. Yeah, he's going to, he's still kind of regardless of how the game goes, he's still going to touch the ball, 20 times. Falcons give up 150 yards a game on the ground there. I think 30th ranked rush defense. And, not that the Panthers are a particularly amazing rush offense, but he's been pretty good. He's been kind of one of the only consistent things for them so far. Yeah. So I fancy another 100-yard game for Chuba, and if he can... Pop on a touchdown with that as well. I think he's a good pick this week. And Chuba Hubbard, by the way, Joe, is a running back, not a wide receiver. AJ Brown for you, Byron.
Yeah, he's my captaincy choice this week. I just think it's kind of a weird week for the captaincy. There's a lot of good options, I think, but no standout. I think Nico Collins might be the top price player on the pool this week, which obviously was done before. I think that's when he was day to day, and then within hours he was week to week, and then within hours he was on IR. It was a really tough day if you're someone who drafted an awful lot of Nico Collins this offseason like I did. He's been wonderful to watch, and now he's not here. But AJ Brown is here, and he's coming back from injury. I think the Eagles are going to, obviously we all picked the Eagles to cover the 9.5. I think the Eagles are going to smash the Browns. I think it's going to be probably the Browns' worst matchup on offense. Because, Deshaun Watson's been bad, but he's also been bad against pretty poor defenses. I think the Eagles will get out to a lead, and I don't think they're going to slow down and just lean on Barkley. I think AJ Brown, having missed games, is going to want to put up big numbers to get his season back on track. And I don't think Cleveland are going to be in a slowing down situation. So, yeah, I love AJ Brown this week.
No worse than 42-0, though. Hey, let's just keep it at
that. Yeah, and he's 5,800. So, again, not cheap, but not at the top end either.
Yeah. Joe, this is one that I like, so I think it's a good value pick given how he's been going for your wide receiver shout.
Yeah, I've got Darnell Mooney against the Panthers. Yeah, I think it was the same explanation as last week. They're playing the Panthers. And I think he's Cousins. I think London's obviously the main guy, but I think he's starting to go to Mooney a lot more, and I think he's starting to trust him with a lot of the routes, and I think he is cheaper by, I think it was like £600 or £800. It was cheaper, so at 5,200, I think he's a nice little, a nice pickup if you pair him with Cousins and save a bit more money compared to London, where you can then build out your team. So yeah, Mooney at 5,200, and I've gone tight end for my third pick, and we've already talked about Isaiah Likely. I was shocked that he's 2,800. I think a lot of the tight ends are very low on price. I understand because obviously it's not been a great tight end year, but Likely feels like he's actually had a good year. And like my bet previously, I think he's going to have another monster one. So I think he's a great one to pick up at 2,800. Likely for the Ravens.
Cool, Byron, you're on. You're on a tight end as well,
yeah. Sam Laporta, 3,200. I do like Isaiah Likely as well, as kind of mentioned on Joe's bet earlier. 2,800. I mean, he's a tight end 5, and he's certainly not priced like it. Mark Andrews is 3,200, same price as Sam Laporta, which, if you watch football this year, doesn't make any sense. Sam Laporta was injured going into the bye, had a week to recover. I think they're going to score points on Dallas, and I think 3,200 for what might be the tight end one on the week is a really nice price.
Nice, good stuff. And my pick, he's also in that game. I've got Jalen Tolbert, a bit of a breakout game last week for Tolbert. He's obviously filling the void left by Brandon Cooks. Dak trusts him. Things aren't going well with CD Lamb at the minute, so I think Taylor's going to Talbot's going to get plenty of targets, and at that price, 3,600, I think it's pretty good value and allows you to spend elsewhere as well. If you want some of your stars, you can take Talbot as a flex, or obviously one of your wide receivers, and you can spend money.
Sorry, I actually got the spreadsheet up. I was just curious because I knew Likely was badly priced, in my opinion. Isaiah Likely, just on tight ends on the Fantasy Gameday slate, and he's tight end 5 on the season. He's priced as tight end 13 on this slate. So, yeah, I like Sam Laporta a lot, but that Likely price I think is crazy. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, it's cool. Yeah. One for us to consider.
Yeah. He didn't make my lineup that I submitted for Perusian, but I think he maybe should.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, we can chat about that offline. But yeah, so remember, just come join in. Look, if you've not considered playing Fantasy Gameday or heard about it and not jumped in, just do it. Daily fantasy is so much fun. It's you only have to set that. You're not stuck with this lineup. You're week 6. There's plenty of people who are playing fantasy football and their hopes have gone for their season. Injuries, whatever. You've had a bad start. You might be bloody 0-5 by now and out of all the running. So come play a weekly version where you enter your team for that week and you've got your chance for that week. And you know what? You can start again the week after. Use promo code COVER if you're doing it. Go download the app now from wherever you get your apps from. Got to be 18 years or over to enter, UK only. And of course, please gamble responsibly. Hopefully going to catch Gurmeet from Fantasy Gameday in London this weekend as well. While we're down there for the game. Will be awesome. Awesome to see him. And just, I'm sure he's buzzing with how everything's going. So congrats to those guys. Long may it continue. Have we got anything left, Joe? Is that us? Boom, done. Another episode in the books. Gents, pleasure as always. That's the end of our Week 6 preview episode. As always, make sure you give us a follow. Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover over on Spotify to be notified of new episodes when they drop. Also on Twitter /X. Also Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well at GTW_GTC to keep across all of our bet posts that you'll see across the weekend. In fact, if Joe's not done it already, I'm sure he's about to put up the Thursday Night Football on for that. I don't know if it's too late for a Charlie pick this week. It might be, as we're all 40 minutes before kickoff. Yeah. Save him for the London game. Do it for the London game.
Oh, yeah, there's an idea. Yeah, you can do London.
It's a London game this week. We'll have Charlie pick the Bears Jaguars game this week. But yes, pleasure as always, and we will see you for the Week 6 review.
Hopefully after everyone's bets have cashed.
After everyone's bets have cashed, yes, best of luck on all your bets cash.